Welcome back inside our Salem 5 studios where Boston has entered the chat. Travis Thomas, the Kasey Hudson, breaking it on down here for the Bruins tonight, which I called the other day a get-right spot, potentially. Kasey said, well, don't be so sure. These Ducks are actually kind of decent to start this season. So 5 losses in a row now for the Bees. Is this a get-right game? Vegas, by the way, has the Bruins favored tonight.
Right.
Is this a spot that you can kind of stop the bleeding and get back on track if you're the Bruins?
Absolutely, especially if you aren't having, a bunch of self-inflicted wounds throughout the game. I just mentioned the fact that, this isn't one of those teams that you underestimate.
Right.
Something that we're waiting to get clarity on is Chris Kreider was out Tuesday with an illness, but Kreider has been extremely dangerous for this Ducks team, kind of having his own revenge tour versus the Rangers letting him go. But the mix of leadership and youth that you have on this Ducks roster is pretty tremendous. And one of the first things that the Bruins are going to have to get back to in order to make this game theirs is they're going to have to be the better forechecking team.
Yeah.
The Ducks have been tremendous with the forecheck, and you've got young guys that can dish out the puck very quickly. And something else that's been really, really tremendous in their favor is cleaning up rebounds and just being complete nuisances in front of the net. So whoever's in goal for the Bruins has to be ready for big bodies to consistently be in front of the net trying to find those opportunities. And their top 6, they've got a lot of frame in their top 6. Between Leo Carlsson, who we knew was a big guy, coming out of the draft, being impactful for them. Alex Killorn, Harvard's very own, one of the best forecheckers when he's called for it. But he has definitely elevated and kind of mentored these guys to step up their game forechecking-wise. So these are a number of reasons why you can't underestimate this Ducks team.
Sure.
And then Dostal, between the pipes, more likely, he's been someone who now they've just put all of their chips on the deck for him to be their leading goalie and to be a stout goalie, nonetheless, for them to keep games closer.
Listen, thank God this is Boston has entered the chat and not Anaheim has entered the chat, because who the hell wouldn't want to watch that? But a quick glance at their schedule, I see a pattern already. They lost to the Kraken, they lost to the Canes, and they lost to the Blackhawks. Kraken and the Canes are respectable, and we think the Blackhawks are a lot better now. Yeah. Their wins, Sharks, Pens, and Preds. Could I not say this is a step up in competition for them? Couldn't I look at this as you haven't beat anyone any damn good anyways? Notable. So this is a good, notable. So this is a good spot for the Bruins at home.
Yes, absolutely a good spot for the Bruins at home. They kept it interesting. That's why I say that we're not going to discount them. There was a number of moments throughout the first 2 periods that they made it a better competitive game versus a Canes team that is, of course, projected to go right back to a deep run in the postseason. But that's why I said if no self-inflicted wounds take place for the Bruins, this is definitely a get-right spot. Something the Predators did very well versus the Ducks was completely command the neutral zone. We saw that be a strong point for the Bruins in the first couple of games and then kind of lost touch there a little bit. So I feel like, again, doing everything right, making sure that they're communicating, making sure that turnovers aren't this big factor and play a part of their game, then this is where we really just need to see the consistency in scoring. And we're not just going to sit here and look at David Pastrnak and ask him to just wield them to a win. Yeah. This is a get-right spot and a chance to see different scoring. And we were saying that at one point because the second line was getting involved and very much so a pillar to them trying to get back in the game versus the Panthers. But this is where we probably need to see your bottom 6 be that formidable, irritating line to play against, and your top 6 finally open up in the scoring.
I can't figure out how to bet on the Bruins. Honestly, I was betting unders, and then all of a sudden they start scoring goals, and then games I bet the over, they don't. I don't know what to do here. The total's at 5.5 in this game. Do you see a low-scoring or a high-scoring game tonight?
That's tough, honestly, because like you said, it's kind of gone either which way. It depends on what gets past the Bruins defense, honestly, because they have the capability to put up 3 goals on the Ducks. Okay. But are they going to allow that? Because something that we saw that kind of hindered them on the road trip was that as soon as they either opened the scoring or tied things up, seconds later or under a minute, your opponent is on the board. Their opponent's ability to respond has just been too gifted throughout the last 5 losses. So if you do that with this Ducks team, then we're looking at something that can be 3 goals apiece, and that 4th goal will be the victor who comes out on top.
What about any lineup changes tonight? Do you see any shakeups, anything different? I'm sure Marco Sturm's trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the top 6, we've seen that one continue to get moved around quite a bit. One of the most notable things being that Pavel Zacha moved into that center spot, his sweet spot. per se. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept it at that, because there was a huge driving force outside of their fourth line, as always this season, that helped them out, and that was Kasey Middlestat at left wing, Pavel Zacha at center, and Victor Arvidsson on the right wing over there. So I feel like that's going to maintain. A changeup that could be in the pipeline here is the fact that Jordan Harris got put on IR yesterday. We're still waiting to see how Hampus Lindholm is feeling. He was on the ice for optional skate, or ahead of optional skate. There was footage of him just kind of skating around by himself. He told the Bruins he wasn't good to go before the last game. So I don't know if this is a situation or if this is a team that they want to try to get him back into the mix for. Not that they don't need it or want it, but still, we'll have to see, how he's feeling, how his legs are feeling this morning when the news comes out. If Lindholm is not ready to join the pairings back on the back end there, then Michael Callahan got the call up from Providence yesterday. Already was with the team on the ice yesterday for optional skate. I feel like this could be an interesting addition if he ends up going in over Lindholm, because Michael Callahan is more of a true stay-at-home defenseman in a sense. Got a couple call-ups at the end of last year, did pick up a goal, posted 9 shots on goal through his time up here, but I feel like seeing a true stay-at-home D in the mix of this system and going against this Ducks team can kind of settle things down a little bit and allow the Bruins to control and dictate the pace. I did have a chance to catch up with Michael Callahan yesterday for Bruins Kids Club, where the kids get to skate for free. Take a listen here.
Hanging out at Kids Club. Really awesome experience that the Bruins put together here because they get to skate for free. When was the first skating memory that you had?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would have to say learning to skate in Norfolk, Massachusetts with my uncle is probably the first thing I remember vividly. But yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of learn to skates for me in Franklin and in that area. So yeah.
How bad were you?
Oh God, you'd have to ask my parents. I don't know. Probably.
You blocked it out.
Probably pretty bad, but I was young, so I don't know.
Okay. But what does events like this mean? Because as you know, hockey can be a very expensive sport, hard to get into. A lot of sacrifices are made amongst neighbors and friends. Now you have this opportunity for free.
Absolutely, it's great. Great for the kids. Just talking to some of them, seems like they come from all over, even some from out of state. So it's great to see them all just come out and have a lot of fun. And like you said, it being free, it's a great resource. So it's great.
Pretty insane question because of the hockey culture up here, but being a local guy playing at Providence, have you seen the hockey culture just grow even more or more people getting involved?
I would say so. I think, around here, hockey, it may not always be the most popular sport locally, but some of the most diehard fans are hockey fans, and kids growing up around here, it's a big deal. And whether that be mites or AAA or all the way up through high school and everything else. So it means a lot to the people around here, and it's great to see, events like this where, kids have so much fun.
Yeah, and the fun is the most important part, especially depending on how far you want to go. I asked Jeff, he gave an interesting question or answer, but if you were to coach right now, what's your coaching style? What kind of coach would you be?
Oh God, I would like to think I'd be a pretty easygoing players coach. I don't know if I could yell at too many kids. That would be tough for me. So, hopefully it'd be, fun to play for, and someone kids, could come up to and ask whatever. So yeah.
Oh, Michael, I feel you more than you ever know. I am the same way.
Coaching style?
Yeah, it's really tough. Both my kids play sports, and I am the worst. I am so loud and just like, "Go, what are you doing?" Yelling at the ref. I'm not even the coach. I'm just a parent. I'm waiting.
So you're that ejectable parent.
Oh, I'm definitely getting thrown out. It's happening. It's just a matter. It's not if, it's when. As far as Michael Callahan goes, though, on the ice. I mean, if he plays, Case, what kind of impact can he make realistically for this team?
I think it's just something to where you're looking for a simple, sturdy game out of your defenseman. That's all he has to do is stick to a simplistic game. I mean, when you look at ratings, the plus-minus for him, he's sitting at a -5 in his time being called up with the Bruins through 17 games. And sometimes you look at that and get alarmed. But this is where a number of fans are like, I like the eye test versus the stat test. Because depending on what's breaking down in front of you and the communication style that's taking place, or who your goaltender is and what form they're in, that's where these ratings can kind of get a little out of hand. So I kind of mentioned briefly before beforehand, has more of a true stay-at-home identity. And just some of the breakdowns that we're seeing kind of getting into the defensive zone, putting the goalies in pressured positions. Part of that has been like, you've got an offensive defenseman as your last line of defense, and the cleanup has just become overwhelming or too difficult for them. So that's why this could be interesting. And plus, Andrew Peeke has actually been a very polished guy throughout this entire season. Very much up there when it comes to blocking shots, just being very smart when it comes to managing the puck and making sure he's not doing too much. He's not getting too cute with anything. So if he ends up, him being Callahan coming in and pairing with Peeke, who Harris was with, then I feel like they can kind of be like a simplistic, sturdy pairing on that back end, kind of calm the chaos down a little bit, because again, where the Ducks can kind of come in a little bit and where they have a few very talented two-way players, like the energy there to potentially overwhelm their opponent could happen, but they can send their offense in waves, is what I'm trying to say.
You used the word sturdy a few times as it pertains to Michael Callahan. He looks on camera to be 7'9". Is he a big body?
He's a bigger guy, but I think it's like I'm 5'1", and like me on my skates, I might be 5'4". Like that's as good as it gets, guys. Like, my license wouldn't even agree to call me 5'4". They were like maybe 5'2". I had to sit there and debate with the dude for quite some time.
Well, I don't like to say you're short. I like to say you're vertically challenged.
Pint-sized.
Now, we talked about this with Joe Mazzulla with the Celtics, and I said there's no adjustments for him to make as it pertains to size, as it pertains to rim protecting and rebounding. Marco Sturm, though, hearing you talk, it feels like he does have some levers he can pull with this team in terms of lineup. You talked about some of the changes he could make.
Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't have the same problem as a Joe Mazzulla.
To a degree, because like we're seeing where kind of some changes come about in the fourth line. Like VL comes in, but they usually kind of pull him onto the roster when they need more of that heavy hitter, heavyweight guy to get into the mix. Have very physical presence to his game. Already picked up his first goal as a Bruin over the road trip. But then like when you need speed, when you need somebody who's going to very much have those momentous punches, Beecher has drawn into the lineup, and Beecher played very well with his call during the road trip too. So it depends on what they're seeing in terms of what needs to be done. They don't have to come in physically strong versus this Ducks team. They don't have to try to wear them out, because you see that the Ducks conditioning kind of wears as the periods go along, which is why they started off strong versus decent teams and kind of fizzled out at the end there. But youth is still very much part of like the DNA of this Ducks team. And so being able to have that large ice time is different. I mean, McTavish is probably one of their best players in terms of being able to stay on the ice for long periods of time.
Look, I'm looking at the schedule. Ducks tonight. Colorado comes back for a rematch. You were competitive in that game. You go to Ottawa. Isles come here. Sabres come here. Winnable games here. There's some winnable games in this for the Bruins, yes?
Starting with tonight. We'll see how things go against Colorado, but then Senators, things are falling apart. Brady Tkachuk out for some time, and then you've got familiarity in going against Ullmark. Yeah, as
Our
long
old
as he's
friend.
the guy. Exactly. We love seeing old friends. Isles, though, you can't count them out. I mean, their young defenseman is breaking records time and time again, and as Barzal's feeling himself and the rest of the lineup, then that one's going to be a bit of like
But then after them, you get the Sabres. You can damn sure count them out. Except Tage Thompson, who I love. I do love him. 617-790. I love him. 617-790-0928. Call us, get in here, talk everything. B's, C's, and all the between. Pats, too. Hey, we're done here at Nesson, but Nesson Nation, we're over there. Join us, 8 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday on Nesson, 9 a.m. on Nesson Nation. The party continues. Come with us.